Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Masters. We're doing these solo stories as they continuously add more content. We spent the last recording struggling through the third act of Legend of the Star Heroes, and arguably I should have played off screen and gotten these all done with the loner decks, but it's not going to reveal anything or like really reward you with anything extra. You just have to get through with either the loner deck or your own pre-built deck to get the completed marker, or the clear marker. Completed is when you do everything. I did instead spend a decent amount of time playing each of these solo player deck challenge 2s with my pre-built deck. That way I can show off, if we need to, and probably want to anyways, what each of these duels is about without being stymied or troubled about as far as moving forward. So I can just show a game, lose a game, show a game, lose a game, over and over. But first things first, we want the actual narrative. Invincible bee troopers. Insect knights or bee troopers fight with their own unique tactical maneuvers, their power, which combines attack and defense through communication, is truly unbeatable. And I have to assume that this solo player story has nothing to do with kind of any of the other solo stories. Yeah, that would be my assumption. I would also assume that this is a brand new story and it is a considerably shorter story. One scenario, which I have to assume will be something fairly short, or longer than some of the shorter scenarios in the other one we did. And then one practice, one duel, a locked gate, 2 more duels, and a goal. We'll burn through this fairly quickly. Like, if anything, this may be too short. So, the insect theme, certainly in Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been a thing from the beginning. Here you have a static image being dragged. In the world, there exists insect warriors who fight and expand their territory with the deadliness of an organized army, and armor on these insects, and then some other kind of insects riding them. This probably doesn't connect to the bugs in the digital world, which that's the other solo player's story that had digital bugs play a role. They charge onto the battlefield with the trusty bug companions, like knights on their steeds. These warriors, with their formidable strength and unique battle style, were known far and wide as bee troopers, although oddly, not really seeing a bee anywhere at all. Like, this is a ladybug, and this is like a rhinoceros beetle. When they went to battle, they would employ various tactical maneuvers and gain advantage over their enemy. Heating the front lines were the Bee Trooper Scout Buggy and Bee Trooper Armor Horn. Okay. Bee Trooper Scout Buggy would launch aerial assaults from afar, and Bee Trooper Armor Horn dominated land warfare with its impenetrable defense and advancement prowess. Once they were close enough, giant Bee Trooper Invincible Atlas, which that looks like there's an entire castle on the back of this one. The Bee Troopers Galactic Powerhouse, Bee Troopers apostrophe I guess, showing possession there, would swoop in and capture all their targets. These fearsome monsters left no holes in their defense or offense. If push came to shove, they also had foot soldiers that rolled on the back of beetles to deploy, and then if any of the troopers were injured, B Trooper Light Flapper would come rushing to their aid, offering medicine, bandage, and a healing hand. Again, still, that's a dragonfly, not a bee. As strong as they knew they were, the B Troopers never stopped strategizing how they would face powerful opponents. The awareness to never let their guard down was what made them such a tough troop. Now, I don't think insects generally would ever have like a natural instinct to work together. If anything, I kind of feel like insects, even though humans classify all insects as being the same thing, are, I think, fairly drastically different organisms with different goals and different diets, different activity. And of course, insects don't have high brains, giant brains, so they can't be strategizing anything. Even if insects did somehow in an alternate universe evolve and become a lot bigger, there is also a limiting factor that stops insects from getting larger, in that they don't have lungs and instead bring in oxygen, or at least most insects don't have lungs, and instead they bring in oxygen directly through their shells, which that only works to a specific size, and then it no longer works at all. The math just cannot work. And in the same way, humans couldn't also be 1,000 times bigger than they are, because the lungs would be a limiting factor, and just blood flow would be a limiting factor. Unless something creates cells that doesn't require oxygen. I'm kind of rambling here because there is not really a lot to say. Obviously, this is going to be a short and sweet experience. What makes a B Trooper deck unique? Many of the monsters are characterized by effects that support the development of their allies. Utilize B Trooper tokens and get 4 B Trooper monsters to call forth your trump card monsters. You can aim to link summon a Link 4 Giant B Trooper Invincible Atlas, or you can have B Trooper Landing, and you can try to fusion summon Ultra B Trooper Absolute Hercules using 4 B Trooper monsters in your hand or on the field. Interesting. Which that makes it sound very two-note, as it were, in that you really only have 2 goals. But then again, my pre-built deck, the Zodiac Tri-Brigade deck, really has 1 strategy and just a lot of supportive strategies, and it works very well. Use B Troopers to win the duel during the game. Try summoning B Trooper Scout Buggy. Alright, it says try summoning in that, which I have to assume means it's gonna fail. Activate the effects of B Trooper Scout Buggy that you have successfully summoned, and affect B Trooper Scale Bomber from your hand. Now activate the effect and resolve them. Let's see. Special summon another monster from the deck. Use 2 B Trooper Scout Buggies as link material to link summon B Trooper Armored Horn. And this is yet another case where the character is starting with a low enough amount of health that you can win in this one turn, but that is it. I could put that over here and it would have pointed to that monster. Activate B Trooper Descent. Let's special summon a B Trooper token to get more link materials for your field. And you really are playing 5 cards to use all the monsters on the field as link materials to summon Giant B Trooper Invincible Atlas. A lot of cards to get past 2, 1,000, 1,000 attack, 300 monsters, which is a strategy that would almost certainly fail. Link summon successful. Get an insect type monster ready to tribute in order to activate the effect of Giant B Trooper Atlas. Activate the field spell B Trooper Formation. Feels like you could probably have activated that way earlier. Activate the effect of B Trooper Formation with special summon B Trooper Scout Buggy from the graveyard. You can special summon 1 B Trooper monster from your graveyard with the effect of B Trooper Formation. However, you will lose life points equal to the attack of the monster and you'll not be able to attack with it. So definitely some limitation there. Tribute B Trooper Scout Buggy. You special summon to activate the effective Giant B Trooper Invincible Atlas. With this effect, special summon B Trooper Stinger Lancer from your deck. Special summon this monster by tributing that. Special summon. The special summon B Trooper Stinger Lance will allow you to add B Trooper spell trap cards from your deck to your hand. Activate the effect and add B Trooper Landing to your hand from the deck. Yeah, this is way more than even a 5-card combination. We're going into 6-7 cards. B Trooper also has a fusion monster, Ultra. B Trooper Absolute Hercules is a trump card. The monster requires 4 insect type monsters as fusion materials. Deploy your insect type monsters and choose to link summon or fusion summon depending on your situation you're in. Let's proceed to the battle phase. So like getting this spell didn't mean anything. Summoning anything else that we could summon doesn't mean anything. Activating anything from the graveyard doesn't mean anything. Attack your opponent's monsters which are true monsters, and that should just win for us. Which definitely you could see there's room for a second practice where you would have summoned the other monster, or just a longer practice where you would have summoned the other monster. And you can definitely see with this, when we have these shorter solo player modes, that they're giving you not enough cards for it to really feel like there would be a strategy there. If you're only getting 15 cards and it's just 5 unique cards 3 times, and you have a deck that has 40 cards, what are you supposed to do with the rest of that deck? Now we are just in a game, which is interesting. They start us off with Max C, but Max C doesn't work the way it used to work. So I would hope that this actually works the way they intended for it to work, and this card actually makes sense. Each time your opponent special summons a monster, you immediately draw 1 card. So we'll save that for the next turn. Okay. So I think we want to summon this. And then put a trap down. And then I think we probably want to attribute this to do this. Go ahead and activate that. And then oh, we'll take the big one. Looking at these cards, trying to figure out if they have any effects for being in the graveyard. Let's just put this in the graveyard, I guess. Alright, now what can we special summon? 2 insect cards to get rid of tokens. This 1,000 probably is not what we want. 2 monsters with different names. 2 monsters with different names. Let's just end there. This being so short, the only thing I guess you could imagine is if it turned out that there was a lot of I suppose if there was just a lot of difficulty here, that could explain why there's fewer challenges. That would be the way to balance that. I didn't realize that those tokens were beefing up my card there. And that didn't lead... Using Maxi got me 1 card, but that was it. Let's see. This isn't... Maxi is actually an insect type card, so... Using it's not a bad idea. Let's try and summon this and see if that helps anything. We need to banish 1 more insect before I could special summon this. And that may happen after this. Of course, I sacrificed the Max C card, and I could have potentially drawn more cards this turn as he's special summoning everything. And if I had way more cards right now, that could have saved me a lot of frustration. Like, I may straight up just be done. Yeah, it's questionable. Anything could save me here. Okay. Activate this by banishing these. Special summon this here, I guess, by returning, I guess, these. Maybe it doesn't really matter. Now there's 4 things on the card, so I could sacrifice everything he's got. Or I could do this, which is the wrong move. This is the right move. So we just gotta then discard a card. Ultra B Trooper. Sacrifice that. Sacrifice that. Sacrifice that. Sacrifice that. Destroy a spell or trap card. Sure. Now, there's nothing else to do at this point. So, while we have no cards in our hands, he still has 3 cards, and he could turn this around. But we do have a decent chance of winning. Summon that. Put that back on the field. Activate that effect. Increase that guy's attack, which gives us some more safety. But theoretically, he could put 1 insect monster down, activate a spell that sacrifices all of the other insect monsters on the field, and summon his own version of this character. See what happens now. Like, the slight danger here is that you don't have anything to get you to win this turn. But he is now down to 2 cards while I'm still at 0. I now have a trap. I can activate this again and re-summon this guy on the field. But it still does feel sort of two-note. Like, not one note, but definitely doesn't feel like there's a third strategy that they've mentioned or shown. And I guess summoning this is probably fine. There's really no reason why you would do this. Each counter on it. I'm surprised it's taken me even 25 minutes to get to this point, though, because it's really not asking a lot. And for the players that don't really care, you could just now click the goal and skip these lock sections. Well, we may be just straight up screwed. I need 100 green. Where can I earn 100 green? You would almost have to assume that it is here in this previous section. That doesn't give me green. That doesn't give me green. That doesn't give me green. So either there was a randomness to this, which, seeing how I have 850 of this, does kind of make it feel like there might have just been a randomness to this and no real logic. Or they have really screwed up here and they weren't keeping the balances in order. Because you don't get like a reward in green for any of these, I don't think. I imagine this is just going to be legacy packs and maybe some accessories. So that's not to say that no one could see that content. It's just to say that someone who has done all the other content and unlocked all the other gates. Yeah. Unless there is a green reward for finishing the goal here, which it doesn't seem like there is, or there's a green reward here for doing this. Ah, there is a green reward for doing this. Fine. That is easy enough to do. But that is odd too, because that is the first instance of actually the secondary currency being rewarded for doing pre-built, a game with a pre-built deck. And this is going to be fairly boring. Certainly. I want this. And then want to activate this. Throw that in the graveyard. Throw that in the graveyard. End up with one of these. Summon that there. And in the turn. Just do about 5 different things in each turn. So I have to, at a certain level, applaud them being experimental, but I can't help but feel like it was an unfair, mean trick to kind of hide that currency behind something, a place where you would just never expect to see it. Right. Let's do this. Toss that into the graveyard. Summon this one. Summon this one. If I had another turn, I would have played this spell and gotten another Zodiac card, and then activated this ability to summon that Zodiac card next to it and discard the 4th Zodiac card, but that's not gonna work. Plus, even if I did all of that, then I would have to spend a couple turns on this card trying to attach all of those, and I think there's only really so far you can go down that path, and as far as how many cards you can actually trade to attach. If I was going to change my extras deck, I probably would put 2 copies of these XYZ monsters and get rid of get rid of some of the other things that are available. Right. Let's just attack there. And in the turn, go and activate that, discard that card, destroy that. Maybe I should have waited a little longer. It definitely feels like they played a strategy there to try and devastate me. Right. Activate. This is probably fine. Activate this. Don't think I have a chance to cancel here if I wanted to, so I'll discard that to get rid of that. I'm not doing this probably in the right order. That was the guess. Send that to the graveyard. Activate this. Add this to the hand. Activate this ability to summon this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. That leaves me with plenty more to do that a second time. go ahead and get rid of this as a concept. Stick this on the field. We have enough here to summon 3. But not a 4. Without also sacrificing this guy. Maybe this would work? Doesn't seem like that would work, though. Interesting. We could summon this guy now and banish this card. Or we can just wait next turn and hope that this trap banishes a card. Alright, special summon this, and this. And it probably doesn't really matter what else we summon. Interesting. This is leaving me enough room that I could potentially have a full field of link summoned monsters. Meanwhile, just special summon this guy back to the field. I'm just draining cards out of my deck at this point so I increase my odds of getting better cards. Man, this card seems like it's nearly impossible to get rid of. So the big question is, can his strategy here win for him or not? Really seems like they're going in circles, activating things that couldn't possibly be helpful. Just summon this, and then activate this. That one, that one, that one, and that one. Summon that guy. Banish that. Put that on the field. Well, it would be hard to believe that I can't win here. So a real emphasis there to force you to play this battle both with the loner deck and the pre-built deck. Then we activate this, and it's going to use 300 of the 850 red or orange ones we have. We know there aren't any other gates though, so now I assume that this is just going to be a more difficult challenge using a slightly better loner deck, and then the next one will be a slightly more difficult challenge using a slightly better loner deck. But yeah, we may fairly quickly just breeze through it. I like to see that I like to see them that try to experiment with things, because it's fairly obvious there is something that needs to happen here. This could be a pendulum. That could have been a pendulum too. Oops. Normal summon this. Activate its ability. And then I guess we're probably doing that one, then that one, then that one, and then that one. Select the order in which you want to get this card's probably that one, then that one, and then that one. Or maybe not that one, then that one, then that one. Yeah, that's what I want. 2, 3, 4, 4. This seems like a smart move to play that. It's probably not a smart move to do this early. Alright. We're just stacked here, so I don't think there's anything more I could have really done there. Clearly I made a mistake though, not keeping an eye out on the P scale situation, because had I just not put something in this spot, which I guess inherently means that you probably should put something here, and then here, then here, then here, then here, automatically if you were going to make an order of importance on the automatic. Right. So I'm going to P-scale this and hope that that did something, but I guess maybe it didn't. It doesn't matter, we're gonna win. So, or maybe we're not gonna win because we can't attack. This summoning this one When you summon, when this card is normal summoned, you can choose one card from your Pendulum Zone and send all cards to graveyards. All the cards your opponent has in that column. Return it to your hand. So this card constantly just returns from the Pendulum Zone to your hand. So I don't want to tribute a monster and summon it. This is actually a pretty terrible card. There might be more of a strategy with this card that I'm not seeing, but just reading it initially seems like it has a lot of rules and limitations for not quite enough reward. Summon this. I hope this is the right move. Probably was, but didn't have as many effects as I would like to be. Normal summoned or special summoned, it was tribute summoned. I don't know how that card would have been normal summoned. And I guess there is a difference between being normal summoned and tribute summoned. Unless I'm fully misunderstanding the rules of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is a possibility. I don't think there's a value in special summoning. This will eventually make him run out of cards, if nothing else. But we'll win here. What's funny about this challenge, though, is that it's not like it feels particularly more difficult than what I would have had to do with the Zodiac Tri-Brigade, but it definitely feels particularly more questionable, for lack of a better term. I just am not certain what I'm doing, so I have to move a little bit cautiously and think things through a little bit more. Read the card descriptions a little bit more. And that is what solo mode should do, is it should make you have to think about what these cards are and what they do and learn from them. Learn from that experience. Like, if it was too easy and you could just win by randomly clicking a few buttons and not learning the thing, that would be a problem. Or if it's too hard and you can't succeed even when you're trying, that's a problem. So they're making progress, I think, as far as locking down the level of difficulty that's appropriate for these solo stories. I'm not sure that they're making quite enough progress to lock down how long each of these experiences should be. The Mighty Black Sea Squadron. A 4-2000. Let's see. Let's start with this here. Let's put that there. player would take battle damage, you can make another player take battle damage from the battle, and if you do, you can send one insect from your deck to the graveyard. Then if you sent a normal monster this way, you can special summon any number of monsters with the same name. Interesting. So. What does this guy point to? Link spider. Yeah, let's try it. Put that here. Activate this ability to normal summon that there. That doesn't seem to have increased the odds of the ability to summon anything else, so. Alright. Then now we won't take any battle damage, we just now need to figure out if this card is sent to your graveyard cards. Add something to my hand. In the turn. I think the strategy with this field spell, though, is to actually toss these characters. Summon 1 B Trooper token for every 1,000 original attack of that attributed monster. So this could give me 2 B Troopers. I don't think that's what I want to do quite yet. I want to get to 4 B Troopers, so I want it. But to get to 4 B Troopers, you'd have to have a 4,000 monster to tribute, and that seems also kind of unlikely. Tribute 1 non-token insect monster special summon something. Even that would only be 3,000. Again, we'll activate that. This time we will toss that. So that was an interesting trade. Okay, 2,400. Special summon this by banishing, I guess, this. I can't activate this ability. Let's see, 2,200 here, 2,400, 1,900, and 1,900. Okay. This one seems to have a boost. So there might be more value in getting rid of this. So we can do this. Nope. That was a mistake. Can we get anything over 3,000? Hmm. $2,500. Let's try this. That then lets me banish 3 copies of this here. Position for Shiny Black Sea Squadron. I guess here, here, and here. Still not to 3,000. 3,000. Okay, while this Link Summon card has 3,000 attack or less, opponent cannot target this card as effects. You contribute 1 insect monster, then activate one of these effects to summon 1 B Trooper monster from your deck. This card gains 2,000 until the end of the turn. Or I could activate this and just destroy everything. Oops. Apparently, tributing does not allow me to tribute those cards. Nope. Can only destroy spells with that spell. So, I'm misunderstanding the cards. The good news is I don't think I'm guaranteed to lose here, but I am out of options because I misunderstood the cards and wasted a lot of opportunity by making 2 or 3 mistakes in a row. The problem now is we need something that relatively has a big attack. Let's put that there. I have no idea what this C is. It seems like it's some kind of spooky thing, spooky insect. Cockroach maybe. But there clearly are a lot of things that have quote C in the name, a lot more than I knew. I kind of thought Maxi stood alone. Special summon a B Trooper monster from your deck. I think that's probably the right move. Get rid of this. And then do something like that instead. Trying to figure out which of these cards is probably the best. It's probably that one. One more turn. Obviously, it's gonna require. But what you can really tell with this, since there was only that one short story at the beginning, and then there will be a short story wrap up at the ending, it's not really a narrative as much as it is a generic description of the cards and the characters, which that may not be a terrible thought either, to do something in that pattern. Let's see. I don't know what the right move to be here would be, but we could probably do something better than 1200. Nothing more to summon. Maybe all the solo mode stories really shouldn't be stories, and they really should just be descriptions of here's what the cards are, here's the general synopsis of what the theme was for this expansion. This definitely feels like, if this is based on real cards, which I assume it is, that it would have been based on a simplistic single expansion of cards that really only added 20 to 40 new cards, and that was that. Like, you're not even getting really an enemy description here as far as what the bee troopers, which we still have yet to see any bees, what they were fighting in general. There were many types of fighters among the bee troopers, and they all brought their own specialized skills to the battlefield. These included beetles who could adopt metal boulder-like forms, and other beetles who would carry them into battle. Known as the Bee Trooper Assault Roller, they worked perfectly in tandem. Their drop and destroy tactic was extremely effective and could even knock down stone walls. When Bee Troopers took to the fight to the barren lands where it was hard for the foot soldiers to gain advantage, their flying fire razors would take the spotlight. Bee Trooper Scale Bomber would scatter their flammable scales with lit torches, engulfing the enemies in a burning inferno. They would take the lead to bring chaos to a wide area of the battlefield. Any target that were left would be mortally wounded by the poisoned spears of the Bee Trooper Stinger Lance. At a certain point, it kind of feels like these Bee Troopers are an analogy to either the United States Air Force of a certain era, like World War II, or the Japanese Air Force in World War II, which the two were fighting each other. We probably won't see any kamikaze-like pilots that are flying planes into other enemies, but I could see this expansion starting with the idea of somebody being fairly obsessed with airplanes of war and the Air Force in general, and then them saying, well, we've got to kind of generalize this and step it back, and we don't want it to be Japanese pilots and Japanese planes kamikazing people or firebombing people all over the place, or United States planes firebombing people or bombing people all over the place. So then they added the element of fiction with the insects. Japanese, in general, Japanese boys did in previous decades have a large fascination with bug collecting and insects and Hercules beetles wrestling, fighting amongst each other. I'm not sure if current generations in the past couple decades really care too much about bugs. You see things like Digimon also, where there are a lot of insect type characters. Whereas if you were going to make a modern collectible card game and you were thinking like what kind of character class would you make, I think insects might not come up at all, or would be very, very, at least at the bottom, because I just don't think too many people are enthralled with the idea of insects. I would say with each generation's increasing understanding of germ and germs, there's less of an interest or a fascination with insects, and honestly probably there's less insects around in general just because of global warming. But I'm rambling on here. Let's just finish the story. As formidable as every bee trooper was, the most attention-grabbing forces would have been their giant beetles. Here we have another background image not showing anything. There was the heavy bee trooper Mighty Neptune, again no bees, who devastated enemies from a distance with its cannon and ranged archers. And the Ultra Bee Trooper Absolute Hercules, who obliterated all those who stood in its path with an energy blast powerful enough to raise the earth to nothing. Bees do work together fairly well, so if insects had that same kind of colony mentality that bees are known for, but different kinds of insects work together, I could see the concept that they're going for here. And who could forget the giant bee trooper Invincible Atlas, a major key to the bee troopers' victories. Whenever the bee troopers claimed another successful battle, the land they fought on would become theirs. Another area would be added to their ever-expanding territory of the vast lands and lush nature that they hungered for. And just like any other day, the bee troopers were off again to a new battle. And you get a trap card for that. And you really can't get that many cards, though, if your single player experience is going to be this short. But I kind of appreciate the single player being this short. Of course, the danger now, though, is that there would be potentially a secondary chapter that gets added to this. And once again, that gate has been cleared and the gate has been opened, and nothing new has shown up, so that will point out that I'll have to wait until there's at least 2 new gates, because that's the way I want to buffer this before I make any more solo player episodes, which is fine. So let's show off in the next hour or so each of these loner deck challenges. The first solo player challenge decks seem to have kind of the theme of the Yu-Gi-Oh! TV series. This second challenge might be the second generation TV series with elemental heroes, or it could just be a collection of themes that are fairly popular. Let's add a hero deck to our card. Which hero do we want? I think the move is probably to go for polymerization fairly quickly. This is a hero, this is a hero, this is a hero, this is a hero. So if I can get a polymerization, I probably could summon something fairly big. But the elemental hero characters in general are kind of difficult. Let's see. I'm just hoping this works. Activate polymerization. 3 elemental heroes for 2,700. Which would be this one, I guess. Definitely this one. And definitely that one, I guess. And at this point, it probably doesn't matter to use that field. Yeah, that probably didn't save me. And he's playing Ancient Gears against elemental heroes. Which, yeah, that does kind of give me the feeling that this would have been potentially the second generation of the anime series. Let's see. Let's go ahead and add this. Only card in your hand. Well, we can pull that off. We can set this here. Interesting that you can activate this polymerization already. We can summon this. And feel like the goal probably is to have each of these characters available to you. Two hero monsters for 2,500. Let's do that one. And then that one. Sure, let's activate the ability. Special summon this. Still not really getting it far enough. And then another 2,500. Guess to do that. And then the goal would be to take out, I think, these kinds of fusion monsters in the graveyard. We're still not there, though. Still not where you need to be strong enough to defeat that guy. So I can't really do anything, just let him attack again. if I had that spell that I activated before, potentially I could activate it again, destroy that guy. What was this? Skydiver Scorcher? Right. Meanwhile, alright, destroy it. Continue attack. Geez, I guess that means I might have been able to win in the previous turn, but whatever. And that was a duel that felt kind of lucky and kind of uninformative. I definitely am not expecting to be able to clear each of these battles. Opponent will be dueling with a deck based around Armored Dragon. Which the Armored Dragon is the deck that has like an Armored Dragon level 1, level 3, level 5, level 7. I'm not sure there is actually a specific level for each number though. I'm not sure if there is a level 2. And I definitely feel like that it has to be based on what an anime series, because there's far too... They wouldn't have us be playing the same elemental deck twice in a row, unless in the anime you were playing with the elemental deck twice in a row. Special summon if that's the only card in the hand. Skyscraper field spell. Summon that. Target 5 elemental hero cards, shuffle them in the deck, then draw 2 or draw 3 instead. If you have no other cards on the field, then in your hand. When you activate this card. Alright, so you want to play this, then special summon this, then play this later. If each one of these solo player challenges is based off of one of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime series, then we kind of know there's only going to be 3, 4, or 5 of them, which is fine, because I don't need the solo player challenges to constantly continue. It definitely is getting to a level though where I'm not going to have that nostalgia and not really recognize any major fights that may have been very big fights. I really wish when you have games like this that are sort of built around a cartoon or an anime series, that there would be a better way to connect things and have the actual anime series, or at least specific sections of the actual anime series, viewable or streamable. That one, and that one. Put that on the field. It still isn't good enough. But I got lucky there, not really knowing what this card does. I will say also, it seems like you have kind of a wall of text with too many effects. for these elemental hero cards, which probably led to some power creep in the Yu-Gi-Oh game. Previously, most cards at most had 2 effects, and even if they did have 2 effects, they tended not to be inside a theme that would have synergized so much. You can see this guy is playing fast and furious just to possibly accomplish something. Okay. Talking Karibos. Which, let's not special summon it instead. And instead draw it and then set it. We don't have 5 elemental hero cards in the graveyard, so we can't activate that spell. My only hope is that this will let me destroy this at the end of the turn, like it did before. At the end of the battle phase of this card battle, you can target 1 monster on the field and destroy it. When this card is destroyed by battle, you can target a level 1, level 8 lower, or lower elemental hero card. Right. Give me a polymerization. If I was to polymerize something here, could I do better? Elemental hero avian. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I can get any better than what I've already got. For all of these different extras. I can't do anything. He's got me beat. He has 20 cards to draw. I have 30. But by him putting this card in an attack position, he may have helped me. But then there also might just be another case where he can yet again summon a level 7 dragon, or 7-star dragon. Obviously, for timekeeping's sake, we'll only do 1 of each of these battles on screen, and anything I don't get done I will just do off screen because it would be visually boring. I'll just hold this card in my hand. There's no reason to have 2 polymerizations on the field. There's not even really a reason to have 1 other than to pretend like it's a trap. This time don't activate its effect because we don't want to destroy a character. Of course, the question now comes down to, does this destroy see, at the end of battle of this card battle, you can target 1 monster on the field. It only destroys monsters, not spells. Good to check. And very often you end up in duels where the opponent plays a card like it's a trap card and it isn't, or just does something just because it's programmed to do that thing, even though the actual action is pointless. Of course, I often also do pointless actions. So, I can't really blame the computer AI for being dumb when I'm just as dumb. So yeah, I would definitely question if this is based off of one of the anime series, then at what point does his deck start to evolve away from the elemental hero? It may take quite a while. I vaguely recall elemental heroes being the big thing, the big game-changing expansion for the Yu-Gi-Oh card game for quite a while. And in all fairness, the original anime series was, for Yugi specifically, always kind of around the black magician, and at least until you got to like the god cards, and maybe at the point with the god cards you started to see some difference. Right. Let's try this. Activate this. Put that on the field. Like this quick play Karibo on the field is probably something you should just hold on to until later. Let's see what happens there. Doesn't have that many cards left, but he has this different dimensional capsule. Why could I not quick play that? Okay. So we have Sparky, we have Earth, we have Air, we just need Fire, I guess. In the graveyard, then we can activate this and summon that level 10 character. Meanwhile, we'll just set these in defense positions and move on. That's what we need, right? Need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe we need water in the mix too. Certainly this would be the point to activate this spell and put a winged Karibo on the field. I'm really hoping to succeed here and stalling for time. It's not a particularly good deck. See if he just manages to counter the ability. Then, yeah, I'm on the verge of losing. Okay. There's basically nothing else that can be done, so we have to do this. That can let me get this one by selecting these cards. Put that in the attack position. Attack this. Well, that sucks, but that didn't also do any damage to me. So if I had attacked this guy instead, I might have won here. But I don't think I'm going to, so it was a good try. The funny thing, though, is you're just not going to end up struggling on any of these challenges, I think, that much. That you're going to end up playing it 2 or 3 times and actually learning the opponent's deck. Nor are you getting deck recipes, which aren't a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Once you defeat them, to tell you these are the cards that were in that deck if you wanted to play those cards. Of course, you could go online and probably get a very close estimation or approximation of what these decks are, if you cared. You can discard this card to the graveyard and add Neo space from your deck to the graveyard. So we're now doing Neo space cards instead on top of elemental hero cards. Alright. Let's activate this and just see what other Neo Space cards we can get. Just this field spell. Elemental Hero Neos and all fusion monsters that specifically list Elemental Hero Neos gain 500 attack. Okay. Is this a hero card? No. I don't think doing Monster Reborn makes sense. It may just be a case of a bad started draw, but it may also just be a case of me misunderstanding a deck that is now getting more complicated. So by the time we get to the final fights, we may very well have very challenging, complicated decks. And this guy is playing a hero deck also. So you can see, if this is based off an anime episode, it would have been a point where somebody is playing a hero deck on top of a hero deck. Changing its name like that, I don't think actually accomplished anything. Yeah, and we may be down the path here where each of these battles just fail. I didn't pay any attention to these battles when I was playing with my pre-made decks because literally it doesn't matter what they do when I'm playing my Zodiac Tri-Brigade deck. Anything and everything works. Do we have any hero cards still? No, it's all Neo-Spacian cards. Like, you really don't have to pay attention at all with the Zodiac Tri-Brigade deck. You can just do your strategy that you always would do with that deck and you will just win. But as for these loner decks, yeah, I may have to slowly get better at understanding the elemental hero decks and their concepts. Yeah, none of these Neo-Spacians really feel like they were helpful cards. Let's see, equip only to a fusion monster that lists elemental hero Neos. Does he have anything in his graveyard that is particularly powerful? I don't think he does. And even if he did, I don't know if this lets you summon anything. Nope. That didn't work. And you can't set a field card in the trap and spell cards. So yeah, once again, either because I had a bad draw or because I just didn't understand the cards, I'm going to lose. Which this may become a fairly familiar feeling. I also don't really have any motivation to finish up these solo stories and go from clear to complete. Like, it's only going to give me a few legacy packs. I don't care about legacy packs. And it's only going to give me a few accessories and other things, maybe a few crystals. And so I can just wait until I get the next month's play 3 games in solo mode daily quest to actually get them complete. This Cup of Ace is probably a pretty awful card because in comparison, Pot of Desire guarantees you drawing 2 cards, which card advantage is really, really important just by discarding 10 cards into banishing 10 cards, which sounds like a lot and is a lot, but it is kind of still worth it. Exactly 2 monsters from the deck. Okay. Mesmerization we don't need. Okay. Apparently can't summon this at all. We'll set this. We'll activate this. We'll decide what's the best one of these to summon. Turn it to the hand. Gains attack. Shuffle a card. Destroy hand. Alright, let's go with this one. Summon that by sending that to the graveyard and that to the graveyard. Put that on the field. Activate this to destroy that. Then set that there, I guess. And I guess that's our best bet. By activating this effect, this goes back into the extras deck, I believe. Or this just always goes back to the extras deck. Let's see, Neon Fuse. Sure, let's banish that from the graveyard and see if that lets me keep the card, which it does. Let's not activate that. Duel of Destiny deck. This clearly is a deck designed around flipping coins and gambling, which is going to mean it's a bad deck. Oh, we are just really getting our butts handed to us as far as having to set cards. And he is just willing to, every turn, toss this coin, or he has to toss a coin for this continuous trap. Of course, he doesn't seem to have very strong cards. Still can only summon or special summon. Yeah, let's try this, that, and that. Add a Miracle Fusion from your hand to deck. Sure. Do we have enough cards in the graveyard to do a Miracle Fusion? Tribute this card and target a neon monster from the graveyard, special summon it in defense position. I don't think that's worth it. But it might be worth it to activate this. And if it isn't, whatever. Yeah, I screwed up there. Yeah, I probably want one of these. Then take that from the graveyard and take that from the graveyard. Okay. Target one card on the field and destroy it. Okay, let's target that card. And I think we broke through his defense there. And while he does have one face down card and 5 cards in his hand, I don't feel like there's going to be a ton of strategy that he can play. Is that going to bring Dasher back to the field? No, but it does let me summon this card to the field. Okay. Battle phase time. Activate this ability. Destroy this card for safety. And take that victory. So I'll be more than happy to just take the victories where I can get them and move on. And perhaps it is just a case of as this gets more complicated with a more evolved deck, I start to see better strategies and more strategies as to how you actually would win with an elemental hero deck that I assume is evolving along with the cartoon anime series. It's crazy though. I have to put out my opinion there that it definitely is crazy that you would have a anime series based around a collectible card game where the main player is really just playing one deck that just slowly evolves. Okay, so this is a good card. You take your biggest card here and say this one needs 3, this one needs 3. So we'll just do that. We'll start by putting the lower cards in the graveyard. In the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, there was some reliance on Yugi's friends, Joey Wheeler, but having them show up and play their decks that are slightly different, or significantly different, completely different, really, compared to Yugi's decks. But I feel like I caught a couple episodes of the later Next Generation Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime series, and I feel like while they did still have friends, it was more or less a much more focused on the main protagonist in his deck. Discard one card, which is this. And he's got straight up the second generation of God cards. Attack greater to or equal to the attack of the chosen card. Oh, well then I should have chosen the other one. Well, I screwed up on that. I just cost myself 500 damage for no reason. Well, he's activating his trap, which this has probably wrecked me, unless he's going to use a ridiculous amount of cards. Okay, let's start with this. Discard this. Destroy this that has 0 attack. Cost him 500. Activate this. Name this card. I hope this is the right card to discard that, which does now allow it to be summoned. Okay, that seems good. But if he can get the 4,000 evolved god cards onto the field, particularly using this card, that would be a problem. Discard one card, destroy a random card in your opponent's hand. I can't discard. During your end phase, shuffle this card into the extras deck. I guess as long as he just kind of fails to summon something to stop me, though, I think I can win this next turn. And if you're seeing the evolved form of the god cards show up here, then this would be a point where you potentially in the anime would see at least one of the god cards being played by the main protagonist, of which I don't even know his name. Let's go with no again. What I need to do is get things out of his graveyard. Right. trick here would be. You don't want that one. Return it to the hand may be the best we can do. Yeah. Let's do that. Select that and that. Activate that. Return that to the hand. And let's attack. There we go, another victory. Obviously, though, this would be way more interesting if we were actually seeing the characters from the anime, and maybe even a little scenario storyline. Just an arrow pointing up. Here's the scenario and storyline for this fight. Evil hero monsters next, which, yeah, there is this level, I assume, of obsession that Yu-Gi-Oh fans probably had around the god cards and the cards that were played up to be the coolest of the cool. And it probably was fairly hard in the second generation of the anime to get around that or go in a different direction, where the Egyptian god cards theme and the Egyptian themes in general and the Millennium items in general probably became somewhat of a burden to the writers, who probably didn't want to tell that story that much. It's not the best of world building for Yu-Gi-Oh! Making a world that is based on a history that was obsessed around duels, and then someone making a card game to represent duels, and then the world in the present time being obsessed around those duels. In fact, if there was literally only like one video game that everybody was obsessed with, if Pong was the only game anybody cared about, that would be a nightmare scenario. Right. 14, 14, 25, 20. I think we just go with attack and don't bother to really read anything. Let's see. Yeah, that seems like this is a decent card. It'll set us up. Meanwhile, he's Supreme King's Castle, Elemental Hero, Sparkman. Am I playing as with the Evil Hero cards? I'm not sure. Send to the graveyard, cost 500. Let's see. These send to volcanic scatter shells. Alright, well, let's just set that there. Seems like this deck has a decent collection of cards that are kind of difficult to play. Blaze Accelerator. Don't have a blaze accelerator. You must send one tri-blaze accelerator. You control the graveyard. Do you get a tri-blaze accelerator as a summon character? Okay. What I assume is the case here is that this would help in some way. Let's activate this effect to banish it to draw another card. And for some reason that means polymerization now no longer works. Yeah, it doesn't feel like I'm gonna win this one. And I would probably chalk that up to just having a bad draw. Okay. We can activate one of these abilities, which would be destroy all the monsters your opponent controls. That's not what that did. If I could special summon this, that might be something, but I can't. Let's see what this effect does. And now polymerization seems to work. 2500's not enough. Make up to 2 attacks of monsters in the battle phase. Ooh, that's enough. I am shocked I'm gonna win here. Or tribute. See, this would do 500 and this would do 1700. 500 and 700 is not quite enough. Alright, so I should tribute this. 2400 piercing damage. Second attack in a row. Yeah, let's do this. For 800 damage to the opponent. Let's see, 800 plus another 2 would be 1000. Then 1400 plus another 8 would be 2200. I may not have an option here. May not matter either. Let's just take this one. Interesting that he activated something that seems to have only helped me. Activate that ability. Well, I'm still not done, oddly, but I have a hard time believing I can lose here. Well, I can, certainly, though. You could definitely do something like that. Yeah. And that was a tough, but I think fairly fair experience. Not terrible. And we've got 3 more duels, so we'll go a little long, past the 2-hour mark, but then we'll be done once again with solo player content for a couple months. If anything, I will say Yu-Gi-Oh! Is probably bringing me back to doing solo player content more often than it really should. Like, I'm spending extra time on extra time. I assume the right move is to special summon that in defense mode. Yeah, I don't think I need to do anything else for this turn. We still are very much just around the elemental hero stuff. Still working around that theme. Okay, let's see if we can pull this off. Would this let me summon something amazing? Send that. Let's send that. Put that on the field. Activate this. Set that. Activate this. Because why not? We'll hold that in our hand. And we'll go to the battle phase. And just getting that much damage in one turn puts you fairly far ahead to the point where your opponent has a very low chance of catching up, or a much lower chance of catching up. See, special summon any number of monsters with different names. Hmm. Now he's going to activate a bunch of traps, and then I'll be out of cards. Just throw that on the field since we don't have anything else we can do. That buys me a turn. So do I want to summon this? Or do I need... I think probably you want to activate it. That wasn't that useful. But whatever. Add a spell. We'll just pick a spell at random instead of reading because I'm gonna win. Anyways. I actually wasn't really expecting to have this level of a success. I really could have seen a scenario where of all of these solo player challenges I would have gotten maybe one or two done where I'm hitting, I think, above the 50% mark, which I'm surprised by. Cyber Dragon Core, Cyber Deck Dark Edge, Overload Fusion, Cyberlord. Maybe they finally moved away from the elemental hero. Send 2 dragons to the graveyard. Pick something low. To then, I guess, add this. Then we've got a 12 for 5,000, so send that to the graveyard. And let's see what this does now. See, and it feels like a Cyber Deck Dragon is a lot like potentially a Blue Eyes White Dragon concept. Well, that was a lot for a first turn, but oddly not as much as I had hoped for. That's a good start. Let's see. Can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And I could special summon this later on, so we'll leave it. What does this affect? can send one monster from your deck to the graveyard. Sure. Let's send a monster to the deck to the graveyard. Just pick something at random. That seemed to have an effect also. Send something else to the graveyard. Just put everything in the graveyard, why not? Seems like you can have a decent chance to just play willy-nilly and still win. Now, I have to admit, though, I also probably have warmed back up to playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Now compared to when I did the first solo player episodes, because it would have been many years since I last played Yu-Gi-Oh! At that point, and there would have been a lot of cards that I had never seen before. And now that I've been playing for several months, I have that better understanding. What is this effect? Return that to the field. $1,200 times the number of materials used. 1,000 times the number of materials used. At the moment, I don't think that's a good move, but if I could make more things on the field. Exist. Maybe I could just sacrifice everything to summon something very powerful. But we probably won't even get to that point. Yeah, all you could really do now is either play a trap to destroy everything, or put a monster that just has a massive amount of attack. And I don't even know what this guy's strategy has been, because all I've seen is a Jinzo, a card here called Jinzo. It's actually Jinzo Ejector. This golden sarcophagus, and a Drillago. So some kind of machine deck is the best I can guess. Let's activate this effect, not knowing what it does. Let's grab a spell. Can't do anything with that spell. Let's summon this by attributing this. And then let's just move on. Just continuously throw things in the graveyard. You're not really going to run out of cards doing that, one card per turn. So if that was like the second to last big battle for the second generation of the anime series, then I would have to assume that this was the last big battle against a Dark Magician deck, or playing with a Dark Magician deck, which would make a lot of sense. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, since I think the second generation of the anime series was in some way connected to the first generation of the anime series, I wouldn't be surprised if the final boss is a friendly battle between Yugi from the first generation and the protagonist from this generation. Let's see. Once per turn, we'll do this and then activate this and hope there's something here with less than 600 attack. Yeah. I guess that doesn't count. Question mark does not equal 0 by default. Good to know, I guess. We're playing against the King of Games deck. It does beckon an interesting question, certainly, as far as just what would who would win in a second generation of the anime. Like, it should be the new protagonist, but I wouldn't be surprised if it actually was the old protagonist, Yugi, that would have won. Okay. Let's try this again. 2500. Add 1 spell trap card. Select that, select that. They still haven't quite fixed the selection screens being slightly different. Miracle Fusion. Take that one and that one out. Alright, let's do this. Don't attack with that one. Destroy that card. And that. This playfield, I think, is based on probably the 3rd or 4th anime generation series, the 5D series, where the act of dueling itself somehow it creates energy that power a futuristic world. The 5D series in particular is, I think, fairly crazy because you're dueling while also racing on a motorcycle, which just, I think, got further and further away from the idea of a game that could actually be emulated in the real world. Thank goodness, I suppose, that they never did try to actually have a motorcycle. Yeah, and if anything, that was too easy. That was way, way too easy. And that may just have been because I got a lucky draw there. There's also another aspect that if what my assumption was right, and these were all duels in the 2nd generation anime of Yu-Gi-Oh! And the final battle was against Yugi, the animation style they kind of use for Yugi in particular is that he was a particularly short character that always looked very childlike. So I feel like he would never come off as a mature adult looking character, even if he was 50 or 60 years old. He would just look like his own grandfather, who was a fairly short, kind of young looking for a grandfather animation style too. There were definitely other characters in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series that were drawn taller and looked older, but not Yugi. So let's see what we get here. We get a Mate Elemental Hero Stratos as our reward, and no story or anything around that. And that clears a gate. Of course, the giant shock here would be if that unlocks Solo Player Deck Challenge 3. And yeah, I'll just wait till I get the daily quest to win with these duels, and then I'll be completely finished with those. And there's nothing else to do. So I am now back in a good position. I've gotten rid of that. It also puts me in a decent position to just go ahead and reevaluate these cards. Yeah. We have the secret pack. The chances of unlocking another secret pack are not 0, but unlocking another secret pack is not that dangerous. The danger more would be to open 10 packs and not get in a ultra rare, and then have 5 hours to potentially try to get 475 gems, and there's just no way that's going to happen. But we should take advantage of the opportunity now and just hope this works. We see there is no ultra rare pack by default. That doesn't mean there isn't an ultra rare. It just means that you're not guaranteed one. But anytime we see a stall here, that is a chance. And we're looking for new, particularly in the 4 on the right, because those are the pickup cards that are actually the cards I'm concerned with. Getting new out of the Master Duel pool of 7,000 cards is a problem. Here we have 2 ultra rares, so we are now set. So luck was pretty much on our side that we would run into that. Of course, that's more secret packs being unlocked now. These cards in this expansion probably are way more playable at the moment than any elemental hero cards. So had we unlocked a elemental hero secret pack by doing all the challenges, I probably wouldn't have taken advantage of that. Also, had I unlocked the B Troopers, a secret pack around B Troopers, I probably wouldn't have chosen to take advantage of that either. I've seen some play around these cards. Look like they are food ships, in the sense that it's ships made out of food, battleships made out of food, which I don't know what the story is behind that, but it's visually interesting. You have to admit, though, that doing all of that solo player stuff didn't really end up giving me a lot of new cards or a lot of motivation to play with new cards. So if that was their goal, they kind of failed. It also didn't give me a lot of motivation to spend money to buy more secret packs and try and earn those cards, or buying more booster packs in general than try and earn those cards. So if that was their goal, they failed. In fact, all it really managed to accomplish is that doing all the solo player stuff has taken a lot of time up to tell me some cutesy little side stories that at the end of the day don't really matter. Right. So now we've unlocked a whole bunch of other secret packs. We can look here and see we didn't get all the ultra rares or all the super rares, but we got a decent percentage enough that we have almost everything as far as the normals. in rares. So it wouldn't have made a lot of sense even at that point to spend another 1,000 gems if I had it. Of course, the problem now is that that 5-hour secret pack seemingly has just disappeared completely. Maybe that was 5 seconds or 5 minutes left. Let's see. So if we could afford it, this would be a secret pack to potentially consider. There's a lot of cards I don't have. There are quite a lot of these secret packs that exist, and this would be another one definitely to consider if I could afford it. I may not even really know the true depth of how many of these exist. This one I would say no to, definitely, because I have most of these cards. One of the problems that you're going to run into, though, is once you start to have about one card of every secret pack, then you're going to have to start thinking, well, is it worth it to potentially get multiple cards and extras to try to grind out for ultra rares, or is it better to possibly just wait and save your gems? Yeah, and this was that one, the first one. It's back up to 23 hours because I purchased it and unlocked it. It unlocked itself and gave me another 23 hours, which I guess maybe that would work if you would have just opened like one pack of a secret pack. Maybe that would guarantee it unlocking itself, but probably not. I would have to assume you probably have to do a super rare or ultra rare pull to unlock it, and it has to be one of the cards that is the cards on the right, the booster select pack cards. So yeah, you could potentially maybe buy yourself some time, probably by buying a 10 pack of cards and then hoping in the next day you would get enough daily quests to meet the gap. But that would only really work and only be advisable if you had somewhere around 900 gems to start with, not 600 gems. And yeah, as far as booster packs, let's skip through a couple booster packs and get some of these older cards. A lot of these older cards are so old that they didn't even really show up in the solo player stuff. And they probably should spend some energy to do that, bring back, write a narrative around some of the older cards and give them away for free by doing solo player stuff, even if they are fairly useless cards. You can see there's still a fairly high percentage of old legacy cards here that I don't have originally, but a lot of them, or most of them, not useful. And you can definitely tell these are older cards because their artwork is just all over the place and inconsistent and more cartoon-like. In a funny way, taking Yu-Gi-Oh! Seriously, or taking the card art seriously, is a silly idea that they did somewhat embrace. But I mean, you could go one way. You could either go sillier, or you can go more serious. And had Yu-Gi-Oh! Gone more cartoony and silly as it evolves, it would have probably lost more people than going serious, because if you were watching the Yu-Gi-Oh anime when you were like 12 years old, as you went through 5 seasons, you would be evolving into a teenager at that point. 1 season a year, you'd be 17 years old by the time you were done with just the first generation of the Yu-Gi-Oh series. And is there anything else to do here? Nope. We can look at the deck and see if there's any extras. And this does batch generate cards not owned is a new thing. I think, maybe. Yeah. Of opening all those cards, the only extras I have is going to give me 40 normal crafting points and 50 rare crafting points. So, no real benefit to that either. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this recording. We'll come back in a couple months if they add more solo stuff. I really wouldn't mind at this point if they didn't add any solo stuff at all for nearly a year. There's plenty there for people that want to do the solo, and there's a lot of room for improvement still on just helping people duel in different ways or duel more often against other players instead of AIs. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.